Hello, everybody. So today we're going to be talking about losing fat without losing muscle. If you've been around the channel lately, you know I've been really breaking down some of the biggest diet fails people encounter when they're trying to lose any amount of weight. It could be 5 pounds, it could be 50, it could be 500 pounds. People run into the same issue. So today we're going to talk about how to lose fat easily and not lose muscle. Because here's the thing. The easiest way to lose fat also happens to be the easiest way to keep your muscle, right? It's a real slow and steady wins the race situation, which if you're anything like me, kind of sucks because we all want everything now. But again, if you've been around the channel a little while, you know that, as the saying goes, you didn't put the weight on overnight, it's not going to come off overnight. And additionally, if you feel like you have to get the weight off yesterday or else you're going to die, that's not true. And it also is kind of a clue as to your relationship with yourself. So if you want to be able to lose weight easily, you have to be kind to yourself. You're not a taskmaster cracking a whip, right? Now I'm just going to riff on this a little bit more as we get people in here. But stick around. This is going to be a good one. We're also going to talk about how to get a ton of protein in your diet as easily as possible, okay? People have been asking me this a lot. We're going to talk about that today too. Here, let me write that down. So yeah, one of the biggest problems people run into is they want to lose fat. They don't think about preserving their muscle, which they don't realize is like the engine in their car, okay? It does no good. Like if you're a race car technician and you want to make the car as light as possible, right, for performance, but you don't cut weight out of the car by ripping out cylinders and the gas tank, right? That defeats the purpose. You want this thing to go fast, but it's got to go. Yes, being that kind to yourself, but I am the lion. Being that kind to yourself is hard. And guess what? You know why weight loss takes a little while? It's not just because there's a physiological reality that we need to be honest about. Losing weight and keeping it off really requires you developing a new relationship with yourself. If you guys watched my video, I think it's my third most watched video ever. It's called something like, if you want massive weight loss, real talk. I'm wearing a green sweater. I'm talking in my car. I think it went up about a week and a half ago. Engines are overrated. Yeah, muscles are not overrated, okay? Muscles are what are gonna keep you burning at a higher level, burning more calories for the rest of your life. If you can keep muscle, remember, a penny saved is a penny earned, and this definitely applies when we're talking about weight loss. If you can lose weight and massively improve your health. Most people underestimate the improvements that will happen in their health just by reducing their body fat. I'm going to say that again. Most people underestimate the improvements in their health that will happen when they reduce body fat. Why is that? Well, probably a few reasons. People are focused on how they look rather than how they, feel and perform, and how well their organs are functioning and things like that. Oh, I know you're kidding. I'm far more sarcastic than than anyone on this chat in real life, trust me. So yeah, a lot of people just, once they get the weight off, they realize, oh my gosh, like I was miserable, but it was because of my relationship with myself. I didn't fully even realize how physically miserable I was. Most people don't realize how good it's going to feel, like on a cellular level, I'm not even kidding, to reduce your body fat. If you have medical issues, I hear this all the time. John, they'll listen to my advice, but then their question is, but how does this work for me? I have fill in the blank medical issue. And it's like, invariably, these are, like, one time it's been someone who's like, I am paralyzed. I can't do this. How would I go about this? It's like, okay, that's that is a real, like, there's no way around that one. But if you have a medical issue that you believe is slowing your ability to lose weight, we have to be clear. Are you talking about a medical issue that is causing you to have more cravings, so you're binging more? That's what a lot of people mean when they say, I can't lose weight. So if we waved a magic wand and made it so that you could align all of your behaviors with your deepest desires, would that medical issue still stop you? For 99% of people, the answer is no. It certainly wouldn't stop. Even some people, if they have like a real messed up situation in their endocrine system or their organs, it might slow things, but it doesn't stop. And in fact, the more weight you get off your body, even if it takes you a little bit longer to get started, once you do get started, you start making your body healthier, even without losing any weight, just by improving your diet, exercising more. Your organs and body systems can start to function better. And that means these issues will become less of a burden, not more. Okay, so fear of working out. You don't have to do anything you're not comfortable with. If you don't want to do, clean and jerks with a bar, don't worry about it. There's plenty of stuff in the gym that you can do that's appropriate for your level of knowledge. Most gyms have some sort of free personal training session, and a great thing to do, obviously they're going to try to sell you on a personal training package. But if you take your free session, don't let them lead you around by the nose. Say, here's what I want to know. And go in there and say, I want to know how to push, how to pull, how to do legs. And have them show you on machines how to use the machines, how to set the seat height, how to get the handles just right? And then pick an appropriate weight. I did legs today. I think I did almost all of it on machines because I'm doing a lot of isolation work right now. You can be an experienced lifter and still use machines. The machines aren't for noobs, okay? The machines are just machines. It's different. Sometimes it's easier on your body to actually use dumbbells and free weights. Other times it's easier on your body to use something that's a bit more stationary. So, these are obviously all parts of the mental side. But if we waved a magic wand and instantly aligned all your actions with what you want them to be, right? We know that almost everything we struggle with would fail to stop us from getting where we want to go. So with that in mind, once our goals are aligned, once our actions are aligned, how do we take the right actions? Which actions are going to burn fat off of our body without burning muscle, okay? Let's talk about optimal versus, we'll call it bad, for lack of a better term, okay? So for fat burning, we could have hill sprinting. Running, okay? And on bad, we could put, and this is for fat burning ability, okay? And under bad, we could maybe say doing absolutely nothing, right? Sitting on the couch, watching TV, things that don't burn a lot of calories. So over here, we'd have things that burn a lot of calories and things that burn very few calories, okay? My PhD is in behavioral sciences, things like that. Well, like social sciences. I study human behavior, but I'm not not through psychology, but more through sociology. So, yeah, gargling pizza. Well, that would be diet, but we're just talking about exercise, okay? So for optimal fat burning, well, why isn't this channel devoted to hill sprints? Well, not only because I doubt any of you can do hill sprints, because I probably would have a hard time with it. That sounds kind of fun. Are these optimal when it comes to everything we're trying to accomplish? Because I said fat burning. Is an optimal fat burning exercise optimal for long-term massive weight loss? No. Okay? Because what's optimal for your goal might not be optimal for what you think your goal is, right? If you're watching YouTube, right? Let me break this down. So you're watching YouTube. What are some terms that would get you to click on a video? Burn fat fast, right? You're like, oh, I want to burn fat. I got a lot of fat. I got to burn it. And the YouTube video says, listen, if you want to burn fat, here's the hard and fast truth. This is the fastest way to burn fat. And then they list off some exercises. Are they telling you the truth? Yes. Does that mean that that's the best course of action for you? Not necessarily. Because just because we can burn fat quickly doesn't mean that that's optimal for long-term weight loss, okay? So what do I mean by that? This acronym means calories in, calories out. Okay, here's your body. You're a square. Okay, put very simply, if you increase your calories, what happens to the mass of the square? It's gonna get bigger. If you decrease your calories, well, let's put this down here. If you decrease your calories, what's going to happen to the mass of the square? It's going to get a little bit smaller. Okay? Everybody tracking on that? So, when we cut calories, which on this channel we're all about caloric deficit, when we create a caloric deficit, we will remove tissue. Remember the Cindy videos? Cindy lost some weight, but she lost it from a variety of bodily tissues. She wanted to lose weight, but she didn't think enough about what kind of weight she wanted to lose. Because your body isn't just bones and fat, right? It's muscle. It's water, it's connective tissues, it's organs, for some of us, it's cheese, right? Parts of our body are just cheese at this point. But no, we have plenty of kinds of tissue in our bodies, okay? So calories in, calories out relates to the amount of tissue on your body. It doesn't have a one-to-one connection between the amount of fat on your body. I can manipulate calories in, calories out I can drop your calories and then raise them in such a way that would take muscle off of your body and put nothing but fat back on your body. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, blood type is cheddar. Tall, tails. I've talked about that a lot in other videos. You can go to my Facebook group and we can talk about that there. But the best way to find your maintenance is to food journal, to figure out exactly what you've been eating on average to keep your weight the same. That is the best, most direct way of finding that out. And I'm actually doing that myself right now. Oh, I was kind of wondering if you guys are interested in watching me kind of go through a small weight loss phase. Thinking about trying to cut down about 15, 20 pounds. And I'm really going through my own process that I've laid out for you guys. Yes, okay. I'm trying to think the best way to do that. I don't know if TikTok is the right place for it. The Facebook group would probably be helpful. What's the best way to find my maintenance? Phone froze. Food journaling, right? You want to increase your awareness of what you've been eating. So you would go in without any judgment whatsoever. We're not trying to change your food. We're actually trying to get a snapshot of how you've been eating to keep your weight right where it is. I don't care if you weigh 2,400 pounds, okay? I don't care if you're the size of a beluga whale, right? I don't want you to change anything. I want to find out exactly what you've been taking in to keep your weight the same. Because only from that accurate number can we make an intelligent deficit, okay? Only in a 500 to 800 cal deficit. That's pretty good. I lost 200 pounds in just under 2 years, which was a pretty good clip for me. I think I took about 3 or 4 months off in the middle because I sort of dieted myself into losing an organ. So we'll talk about that another day. Yeah, lose fat, not organs. That could be another name for this talk. Well, thank you. So calories in, calories out removes tissue. We always say that if you want to lose fat, you got to eat fewer calories than you take in. True, but calories in, calories out has a one-to-one connection with tissue. Did I say tissue enough times so far? Okay. So how we get the body to remove fat and not muscle or other lean mass tissues, that is the next level. Okay. And when people say, can I technically lose weight if I ate nothing but treats and I just stayed under my maintenance calories? The answer is yes. But that is the best example of what not to do if you want to lose fat and not muscle. Okay, so let's use that as our number one. Let's draw another square. Someone was complaining about being square-shaped. I'm sorry, but if you were anything like me at 420 pounds, square-shaped was was the least problematic shape for me. Okay, so let's do a octagon. Yeah, any UFC fans in the house? Okay, so in this octagon, let's say we have about 50% fat, which is not all that uncommon for people who are severely overweight. Good evening. I don't think menopause would affect the calorie deficit approach. Your body still runs off of calories no matter what's going on hormonally. And in fact, again, with menopause or any other hormonal changes, be it natural, expected changes or unexpected changes due to PCOS or what you could call male menopause, where you're having your organs swim in insulin for a decade causes some of your organ systems to not function. Well, remember, your pancreas is not the only organ that suffers when you become totally insulin insensitive, when your body is just swimming in insulin all the time. Insulin is not the enemy, okay? But too much of a good thing is always a bad thing. Your other organs can have responses to this same high insulin level, and this explains a lot of what's going on with people. And yes, there's a genetic component, but it's just like me and my brother could both have a gene for alcoholism, but if I don't become an alcoholic, I'm not going to become an alcoholic. And if he goes to the bar every single night as his form of entertainment, right? Like, you don't just become an alcoholic because you're born with the gene. Like, that just puts you on a little bit of a trickier footing if you go down that path. And the same goes for any genes that lead you to sort of, like I have. I mean, all people on my dad's side of the family have diabetes, but they all treat their bodies like friggin' garbage. So genetic predisposition is not predestination, okay? Just because you have a certain set of genes does not mean that you're just on this runaway train toward whatever issue you're dealing with. It just means that there was a slight, like if you started putting things on balance, the scale is going to tip a little bit toward obesity or alcoholism or, thyroiditis, things like that. My vids rock. Thanks. Thomas Lane Art. Okay, so here's our fat stores. We're gonna say here is our muscle stores. Put a big old M put a big old series of M's, right? Here's bone, got some bones, we got some organs, and we got some water. I mean, it's probably a lot more water than that, but I mean, all of these tissues are made up of water. But so if you want to lose fat, not muscle, number one, I kind of am going through what not to do. Okay, so we'll do what to do. Number one, nutrients. You can, like I said before, you can eat nothing but donut holes, and as long as your calories are lower than your daily energy expenditure, you will lose weight. However, what's one of the key factors in whether your body says, hey, I'm going to erase fat or I'm going to erase muscle? One of the factors is the body happy or is the body sad? Okay, I'm sorry for making this like I'm talking to a bunch of 5-year-olds, but I mean, it's really not a bad way of understanding it, okay? It's obviously a lot more complex than that. So, if you're taking in no nutrients because you're eating nothing but donut holes all day and you're in a caloric deficit, you are almost forcing your body to do what? If it's sad and it has to lose something, okay, let's get rid of this. This is ridiculous. Let's use a better metaphor. Your body is your accountant, okay? You're a rock star and you've put so much money in the bank, right? And your accountant is the most conservative accountant ever. He's like, listen, every single rock star ends up going broke. I'm not going to let you go broke. I'm going to get you to save money no matter what, okay? So your accountant said, okay, here's your accountant. He's going to be holding big bags of money. Big bags of money. There we go. He's got money for a face. If your nutrient situation is poor, the accountant is going to say, listen, you're bringing in stuff, but this doesn't, yes, it's energy, but I don't just need energy, I need nutrients to run all of these body systems, okay? So if I'm not getting what I need to run these systems, I have to balance, right? Not just calories in, calories out, but nutrients in. Okay? I have things I need to do. I can get energy from this, okay? But can you extract calcium from fat? Can your body burn fat to get its calcium and vitamin C? There are some fat-soluble vitamins that can technically reside in your fat. But generally speaking, if you need vitamin A, you need to eat a freaking carrot. Burning all the fat off of your body won't necessarily get your body the nutrients it needs. So, if you subtract energy, your body can say, listen, I would love to burn some of this energy, but I need nutrients. Guess what else can be burned for energy? Muscle. Right? It's not going to go after your organs or your bones first. It's going to go after muscle because it gives the body the two things it's looking for. Energy and, well, it doesn't really give it nutrients, but it reduces the need for nutrients. Does that make sense? He's going to make the best of a bad situation, or she. Okay? Burning fat does nothing to reduce, well, it does very little compared to muscle because it's not metabolically active tissue, especially this kind of fat. You might have this much fat that's metabolically active, right? You ever heard of brown fat? We'll get to that, Erica. We'll get to that. Is everybody tracking with this so far? If you don't bring in nutrients through your food, just being in a calorie deficit will cause your body to remove weight from muscle so that it reduces the total daily cost, right? Remember the total daily energy expenditure? Your accountant would see this as your total daily money expenditure, okay? And it can get rid of muscle and get rid of part of your total energy expenditure. Okay. Yeah, well, we got to talk about some of the principles before we get into the how. In fact, once you understand the principles, Meehan? I know a guy named Jordan Meehan. That's how he spells his last name. Once you know the principles like really well, you'll be able to apply all this stuff on your own for your particular circumstances. Does that make sense? Okay, so first of all, we can't just be calorie shy. We have to watch our nutrients. You improve your nutrient intake. So put it another way, if you want to burn fat and not, oh boy, that is ugly. I had an octagon going on there before. If you want to burn fat and not muscle, you need to supply your body with its daily nutrient needs, okay? So how do we do that? This is why we get our carbs from whole food sources like sweet potatoes, oats, rice, beans, and so on, right? Yes, you can technically eat pretty much whatever you want for your carbs, but think of every calorie that you're taking in as an opportunity to provide your body nutrients, okay? Those nutrients are gonna keep your body happy. It's gonna keep the accountant happy. And if the accountant is happy and we say, hey, I would like to get rid of some of our savings, he's gonna be more likely to go, all right. So, nutrients. Now we have to talk about the deficit. This is a really simple one, okay? I've talked about this in my recent videos. If you go into too deep of a deficit right off the bat, you're going to make the accountant very unhappy, okay? Body sad, okay? Calorie deficits stress the body. The body does not want to be in a calorie deficit. Look, when you eat, almost on a primal level, there is a sense of well-being that comes from that. This is the little seed of reality of just how it is to be a human being that, if it gets watered too often, grows into a big, thorny, nasty binge eating issue, right? An emotional connection to food. So, when we put ourselves into a deficit, i.e. not enough food, right? We know we're not going to die, but the accountant, he's a little bit of an overthinker, right? He's looking out into the future trying to say, listen, he's going to be more conservative than the rock star, right? So if you go into a small deficit, we get a little bit of stress, right? He's not going to notice that as much. This is very common. I mean, we did evolve to be able to survive very well in calorie deficits. In fact, calorie deficits were so common. Here's the thing. We evolved constantly in calorie deficits. This is why our body developed so many adaptations to deal with them, right? These were not self-imposed calorie deficits, though. You got to remember, when early man went on a calorie deficit, it wasn't by choice. He wasn't trying to get beach lean for summer, okay? He or she, right? It was because there just wasn't enough food. So, your body sees this. I don't believe in starvation mode the way people usually talk about it. They mean a lot of other things. But again, at that primal level, your body goes, oh, there's not enough. Your body cannot distinguish between it's 2021 and you're like medically obese and you would like to live a good, long, healthy life. And that's why you're reducing calories. All your body sees is this accountant, right? All he sees is there's more money going out than is coming in. More energy is going out than is coming in. He's gonna have a problem with that, right? He's realistic. We can get him to burn out savings if we want to, but he's not gonna like it, and he's gonna look for ways to resist it. So, if you create a small deficit, you create small stress. If you create a little bit more of a deficit, you create a little bit more stress. If you create a little bit more of a deficit, you create a little bit more stress. Now, you would think, well then John, so losing weight is going to send my body into absolute chaos. No, because when you lose weight, your body will start performing better and it will balance out, right? Obviously in the favor of health. Now, when you do small deficit changes, this is helpful for you on a practical level. This is less of an assault. Listen, if you stress your body is going to stress you, okay? A lot of people who, when they talk about their hormones, what they're really talking about is they imposed a stress on their body and now they're feeling it. You don't need some massive hormone disorder to feel the feedback of the stress you're putting on your body. Like if I went to the gym and then I felt sore later, I wouldn't go to the doctor looking for a diagnosis. But all the time, people, they live in calorie deficits, burning their bodies out metabolically. And then when they feel like shit, they're like, oh, I need to go to the doctor because they don't realize what they're doing to themselves. So smaller deficits equal less stress. And it's kind of like, anybody ever sneak booze out of their parents' liquor cabinet? Okay. Do you drink the whole bottle? No. You can try to fill it up with water, but they're going to figure that out eventually, right? If you're going to sneak booze out of your parents' liquor bottle, you only take a little bit at a time. And that's honestly the best way to lose weight. Okay. So we want to create a normal calorie deficit. Sorry, a moderate calorie deficit. What that means for you is probably 300 to 500 calories less to start with than what you normally eat in a day. So to figure that out, don't just get on an online calculator and then start subtracting numbers, okay? Because you might as well be like saying, oh, I'm going to subtract 500 calories from that cloud in the sky. Like this online calculator doesn't know you. It doesn't know your body. You would have lived forever in cavewoman times. So figure out what your body has been needing to stay the way you're at, okay? And that is the absolute best way to figure out your maintenance and subtract a moderate amount from there. And if you go 2 weeks and you haven't lost anything, then you can subtract a little bit more. Intermittent fasting can be great. Okay. Let's talk about that. Intermittent fasting. Meal timing. Once you put your body, let's say you're in a deficit, okay? There's going to be some moderate amount of stress, okay? How can we remove some of this stress? Like, yeah, he's going to know that we're in a deficit, and he's not going to like it technically. However, there are things you can do. Remember, this goes back to nutrients. There are things you can do to make him happier. Taking in your full complements of vitamins and minerals, but also on a macronutrient level. Remember, our macronutrients are things like fat, protein, carbs. If he sees a ton of carbs, is that going to make him decide to keep lean mass? No. If he sees a ton of fat, is it going to make him keep lean mass? Maybe it might help a little bit more, but probably not. What is required to continually repair, remember, your lean muscle mass has to be created and recreated, right? If you're not constantly recreating your muscle, you lose muscle, okay? Remember, your body isn't just this static thing. It's a constant process. Almost everything that you think of as, oh, well, it's always been this way. I've always had eyes. They just sit there. No, your eyes, just like every cell in your body, is going through a life cycle. And your body has to replenish your cells, right? So this is why you all take your omega-3 fatty acids, right? You eat salmon or you take fish oil. Why? Because your body's constantly having to regenerate your cells. And it would rather do it from omega-3s. And if it doesn't have omega-3s, it's going to use a crappier type of fat for the not the lining of your cell, the walls of your cell. So if you take in lots of protein, right, this is going to make this guy happy. Now, if you take in the protein all in one chunk at the end of the day, can you make that work? Yes, but it really depends on the person. Is this the smartest way to go? For most people, probably not, okay? If we're talking about good enough, could it be? Yeah, maybe, I don't know, try it out, okay? And I'll tell you some ways to figure out if your body is holding on to muscle later. But for most people, if they eat 4 meals in a day, and they spread their protein evenly throughout all of those meals, this guy is going to be a lot happier. He's going to be like, listen, I wish we could get more calories, but since we're not getting a ton of calories and I'm getting all the protein I need to get the amino acids I need to rebuild all the muscles, I don't really need to take away this metabolically active tissue. I guess, okay, fine. Let's just spend, we're energy insufficient, but we're not nutrient or protein insufficient. This is the exact time when we dip into our savings. And when we're getting that protein, the accountant's willing to go, okay, let's spend some savings. This is the rainy day that we've been waiting for. It's not a torrential end of the world apocalypse. It's just a rainy day. And honestly, this is why we were storing this fat. Now we're going to use it, okay? Now, what if you only eat 3 times a day? John, how many times a day should I eat? Well, if you would like to, every time you take in protein, okay, you improve your nitrogen balance, you improve the ability, what do we call it? Protein synthesis, right? Muscle protein synthesis. The process that allows your body to break down proteins into amino acids and shuttle those to your cells. Okay, if you are super duper insulin resistant, here's a clue. That means it takes a lot more to get your cell doors to open. So if you eat carbs, right, your body can't get those carbs into your muscles. And this door is always open, right? So it can just store them as fat. So that's why if you're super insulin resistant, lower carb approaches tend to work better. It's not always the case, but they tend to work better. Does that mean you have to eat 0 carbs? No, it depends on the person. So how much protein should you eat in a day? Well, let's say this person is 400 pounds, but half of their body is fat. So really, they're about 200 pounds if we're looking at their lean mass. I would want this person on 200 grams of protein a day, right? This would be quite a large, tall woman or, a decent sized man. Okay, so if this person was, if this was a smaller woman who's 5'4", and it doesn't really matter what she weighs. She's 5'4", and her healthy weight would probably be around 140 pounds. Well, 140 divided by 4 is 35. So she would divide her 4 meals, right, accordingly. Now, if she eats 5 meals a day, what does she do? She divides 140 grams of protein over 5 meals, okay? If she only eats 3 times a day, it's not the best. 4 is a great number. I always had a lot of success with that number myself. Other very smart people in this field recommend 4 or 5 meals a day. If she was gonna split this up into 3 bigger meals, it would be, 47 grams of protein. And you may be thinking, well, that's a heck of a lot of protein, okay? Oh, and the other thing with meal timing is, give yourself 3 hours between meals or longer. It could be 4 hours. Remember, a lot of your insulin issues, for people have been talking a lot about insulin lately, so I'm just going to sprinkle in some insulin knowledge here. A lot of your insulin problems comes not because you have insulin. Everybody has insulin. I have a shit ton of insulin in my body right now, but it works for me, okay? I know when my insulin is going to be present, and then I can get it to go down, and then I can get it to spike at an appropriate time. When do I want insulin to spike? Okay? When I have protein available. Okay? I want my insulin to spike to shuttle my protein to my cells and all my other nutrients, okay? Insulin is like the little like don't shoot the messenger. Insulin is the messenger, okay? Insulin helps take all this good stuff from your food and get it to your cells, okay? To get it to all the various parts of your body that need those nutrients, that need those amino acids, that need the energy, okay? Now, if you are snacking between meals and you eat a bag of popcorn right here, you just spiked your insulin. But what are we shuttling to your cells? Easily digestible carbs. That's it. So this is the problem with snacking, okay? Snacking doesn't necessarily mean you can't lose weight. I've had success having snacks, right? Especially if those snacks are more protein-based, because a protein snack is gonna look a bit more like this. Protein spikes insulin, just not as high and as long as carbs do, okay? Now, let's say you had a carb snack and you had some sweet potato. This insulin spike would not look as large, nor would it last as long, okay? So people with insulin resistance, their insulin just looks like this all day long, right? Because they keep feeding it more. Their body lacks occasionally or eventually lacks the ability to reduce their insulin levels, okay? So separating your meals by a few hours allows your body to do what it's designed to do, which is spike insulin, spike insulin, spike insulin, and come down. Okay, the way you get insulin to drop again is by habitually, for days and weeks and months, leaving nice long periods of time for your body to let or work the insulin out of its system, okay? So, we have covered, we're gonna go back to protein now. By the way, guys, do you all see this? You can watch the replay to this video at the Facebook group, okay? So, how can you get protein? Throw out some goal weights. What are your goal weights? Yeah, you're 6'3"? Awesome. I've got some tall daughters. I don't know if they'll be 6'3", but one of them will definitely be 6 foot. Okay, so throw out some goal weights, okay? The weight you're gonna weigh after you lose all the weight. 175. Okay. 160, 180. 350 wouldn't be your goal weight. That might be your goal for right now, but your goal weight is like, what is your healthy weight where you can, live till 85? 160, 155. All right, 135. So let's just take an average, okay? We're gonna go with 160. Now, every single person here probably is already eating protein throughout the day. So, Jennifer, you're always on these. I appreciate it. I'm going to use you as an example. The other day you said you were, or was it on the Facebook group, you said you were taking in about like 80 grams of protein a day? Right. I'm not saying that should be your focus for losing weight right this second. I'm just saying that we base our protein intake on your goal weight because your goal weight is closer to the actual amount of lean mass that you have. Does that make sense, Gazlo? Okay. I'm not saying you have to focus on that. In fact, I think what you're doing is fantastic. I definitely would not have gotten 200 pounds off if I had been focusing on the end goal all the time. As far as mental game goes, absolutely focus on, 5-10 pounds away. Sometimes just focus on the next pound. Yeah. We can talk about that more. If you want to know more about the mental game, that's what I actually specialize in. Okay, I know people need to know this stuff, but as soon as I've educated the entire world on the basics of losing weight, I really want to spend more time on the mental side, because that's actually where all the success is, okay? None of this stuff is all that helpful if your mind is constantly getting in the way. So, 160 grams, okay? Let's use Jennifer, okay? Jen is currently eating 80 grams of protein. Now, if we look in her MyFitnessPal, where's her protein coming from? Let's say only about 3/4 of this is coming from animal protein sources, right? Complex proteins that your body can actually use, okay? I don't have like a big political interest in food politics, okay? There's just a simple reality that plant-based proteins are not as complete and usable as animal-based proteins, okay? So if Jen is getting 3/4 of her protein from animal products, chicken, fish, eggs, but she's getting 1/4 from things like bread and pasta, right? These proteins, like gluten, for instance, gluten is a protein, and that would get counted toward your daily protein intake if you don't really realize that you're counting it, okay? Yeah, well, maybe not if you're a soy farmer. Yeah, we need farmers. Got to support our farmers. The more we can link up with our local farmers, the stronger and safer you're going to be as a community. I think, how many second graders could I take in a fight? Well, I know I can take on 2 at least, because I do that almost every day. So Jen might say realistically she's taking in about 60 grams, right? 3/4 of 80 is 60. And we want to get this number from animal protein sources as much as possible. Now, does this mean that you need to be gnawing on a rib bone all day, every day? No. Okay, because animal sources means a lot more than you might realize, okay? So, in this example, I'm going to get Jen from 60 to 160, okay? And quite honestly, if we get her up to 140, that's probably enough, okay? So if you don't want to worry about the animal proteins, don't worry about it, okay? If that's too much, it's good enough to just worry about the protein, okay? But make sure you're getting that 1 pound of body weight, because if you're getting 160 grams total protein, right, you might still be getting 0.8 grams per pound of goal weight from animal sources. Does that make sense, right? This would be 1 gram per pound of total protein. About 80% of it is animal protein. You're still good, okay? What do you farm? That New York man chick? That Nyman chick? Good for you, Duke. So we're gonna get Jen from 60 grams of protein to 160. And I'm gonna find her some good animal protein sources. So let's say Jen eats 4 meals a day. $60 divided by 4 is 15. So Jen is already part of the way there. She can look at the protein she's eating throughout her day, and yeah, maybe it's all at dinner, and she might want to work on splitting it up. Nyman, cattle, sheep, goats, and chicken, my kind of farmer. Are you in New York, or where are you? I guess no, it's not New York, man, it's Nyman, so you could be anywhere. Cattle, sheep, goats, and chicken. Farm almonds. Almonds are a great protein source. Indiana, right on. Where in Indiana are you from? My best friend lives in Muncie. He got a job there. One of my grad school buddies, he went to work at Ball State eventually. So we're gonna add 100, right? Which split up over 4 meals is 25 per meal, okay? If you think about it broken up, it gets a lot simpler. So we're gonna add 25 grams of protein at breakfast. This could be 125 calories from egg whites. Right? I get these at Costco. They come out to like $1.25 per container, and this would be about half of a container. So we're not breaking the bank for this. This is like 60 cents. And that's a ton of protein for only 125 calories, okay? Fisher's, Muncie is 40 minutes away. Right on. Okay, protein shakes. We'll get to that. Let me write that down. So, we need to get 25 grams of protein over here. She has a salad for her lunch, right? Or whatever, a tortilla wrap, whatever. And she puts, let's see, 25 grams of chicken breast would probably work out to about only 4 ounces of chicken. That's not a lot, okay? When I make a meal, I usually have double that, okay? So 4 ounces of chicken breast. That's gonna work out to that's cooked chicken breast, by the way. And I think it would be like 7, so it'd actually be 28 grams of protein. And that would work out to just under 200 calories, right? So far we've added 325 calories to her day. And we've just boosted her protein by 50 grams a day, okay? And over here, we are going to add, let's see, this is like maybe a mid-afternoon meal, okay? Like a second lunch. We're gonna do some non-fat Greek yogurt. Okay, that works out to 90 calories and 18 grams of protein, okay? So 18, then we could add, I don't know, you could do 2 servings. That would be 180 calories and 36 grams of protein, right? So if you just wanted 25 grams worth of non-fat Greek yogurt, you could do like 18 plus, it would be like 1 1.3 servings. It would work out to 120 calories of Greek yogurt. Would get you 25 grams of animal protein, right? Because it's from milk. And maybe at dinner, she has some lean ground beef. And to get 25 out of cooked ground beef, that's maybe 5 ounces, okay? Maybe if it's drained, moderately drained, that's 250 calories. That's all we did, okay? She had some egg whites, some chicken breast, some non-fat Greek yogurt, and some ground beef. Does that sound doable? It's nothing crazy. We're talking about rather small portions. If you tried to serve me dinner and you only offered me 5 ounces of beef, I would fight you, okay? So probably for someone who's about this body size, a normal sized person, right? I'm giant. This is gonna be an awesome, awesome meal. I mean, who doesn't like ground beef? You throw some Classico red sauce on that, make yourself some Banza spaghetti. You just had a really nice spaghetti dinner, right? Now, obviously we have another 60 grams of protein uncounted for, but beef jerky, whey protein is totally fine. Cottage cheese. If you don't want to go to bed hungry and you want a little something before bed, cottage cheese is fantastic. Yeah, 93.7 ground beef. I love it. Do macros matter for losing weight if I'm still in a calorie deficit? Articulate banana. For losing weight, no, they don't matter. If you want to lose fat, not muscle, yes, they do matter. And you really want to prioritize protein, okay? Think about your protein, then get enough fat, which for a average size female would be a minimum of like 40 grams a day of fat. Ideally from things like nuts, avocados, olive oil, your healthy fats. But having a fatty piece of beef isn't game over. Like you can healthfully eat some saturated fat throughout the day. Like, I've lost weight having a couple pieces of bacon with my eggs in the morning. Like, we make these harsh divides between diet foods and not diet foods. But, if you're thoughtful about this stuff, guess what? Bacon has protein, right? 2 pieces of bacon might have 6 to 8 grams of protein. And as long as you're factoring in the fat, right? If you throw that in MyFitnessPal, it's going to add up the fat for you. And if your daily allotment of fat is only 50, but it makes you really happy to have those 2 pieces of bacon with your breakfast, that's totally up to you. We all make these decisions. We all balance the pros and cons, and enjoy our food as much as possible. So that's protein. Now, on the topic of whey. Okay, somebody recently commented and said, there's no way I can eat that much protein, right? Which I hear all the time, and it's just not true. Okay, humans at any other time of history would smack you in the face for complaining that you can't eat protein. I mean, protein's everywhere. We're just so conditioned to eat carbs and seek out carbs all the time that we don't realize that protein is all around us. It's just not always in the sexiest places, okay? Right? Egg whites, I gotta be honest, they can be very boring. If you pour some egg whites in a pan and cook it, it's gonna taste like nothing, okay? Chicken breast, right? We've all had a plain chicken breast that didn't exactly knock our socks off, right? If anybody struggles from depression, I wouldn't recommend eating a plain chicken breast. It's gonna push you right over the edge. Is all protein equivalent? Animal proteins tend to be equivalent. If you're getting a pea protein, right, that's not the same. Legume proteins can be pretty good from like peanuts, kidney beans, black beans, pinto beans. Those proteins are a bit more usable for your body. So beans would sort of be just under all your animal proteins. But generally speaking, animal proteins are better for you, at least when it comes to this stuff, than plant-based proteins. They just don't have the complexity of amino acids that your body needs, right? Your body, there's 20 types of amino acids basically that your body uses. 9 of them it cannot produce on its own in any way. And those 9, the only products that have those 9 are animal products. There is no plant-based product that has all 9 of those essential amino acids. Is the whole egg, you get the fat plus protein, or you like egg whites best? If you do whole eggs, that's fine. You're gonna be getting fat with protein, right? So if you like, those eggs are full of nutrients, right? Eggs are really fantastic. I lost all 200 pounds eating eggs every single day, okay? I still eat eggs almost every single day. And I honestly, if you want to scramble a couple eggs up in your egg whites, that can give it a better consistency, give it a little bit of color, a bit more flavor. Egg whites are great for making like frittatas. So you scramble up your eggs or just your plain egg whites, throw in some spinach and feta, you stick it in the oven at like 375 and it cooks into almost like a little cake. It's like a little egg pizza. So you start cooking with egg whites and yeah, at first it's bland, but then you think of how to cook it a little bit differently than your normal eggs, and you start to realize that, oh my gosh, you can make some like really fun new kinds of foods that you couldn't make before. Concentrate versus isolate for whey protein. Generally go for an isolate. I would track macros if you can. If it's too stressful, just count calories, right? You can start making progress just by reducing your daily caloric intake and then start to track macros as you grow more accustomed to it, okay? So it really depends on your level of difficulty. Are mushrooms good for diets? What kind of mushrooms? Because I got some mushrooms in the other room that, I don't know. But yes, regular mushrooms are great. Good source of vitamin D. So yeah, whey protein. Somebody was saying I can't eat more protein. Yes, you can. And they said I don't want to drink whey protein shakes because they have stuff in them. It's like, well, everything has stuff in it, but I know what she's talking about. Okay, she doesn't want to drink something made in a factory with just a ton of bullshit in it, and I get that. So I'm careful about which whey proteins I buy. And this lady could Google it just like I do, right? I don't have a special inside track on which whey proteins are better than others. I mean, you tend to get what you pay for, right? So if you're not paying at least $10 a pound, you're definitely eating garbage, right? Most likely. But places like Rise supplements, Optimum Nutrition, bulk nutrients, bulk supplements, Gaspari Nutrition used to be pretty good. I don't know. There's a lot of, like Muscle Farm. I wouldn't eat Muscle Farm. That's not very good. But if you go to Costco, they have Optimum Nutrition Gold Standard chocolate whey. I mean, you're not going to... Transparent Labs chocolate whey. Interesting. I've never heard about that. How much protein from protein shakes is too much? I mean, you tell me, man. Like, if you are just, if you're having to clean your toilet 3 times a day, it's too much. Okay. But apart from that, yeah, I wouldn't, I would supplement here and there with whey protein. I still prefer to get my animal proteins from Whole Foods because you get a better nutrient profile, right? I keep coming back to this. I'm not just talking about whole foods because whole foods are good because they're whole. They're full of nutrients, right? But eating whole foods doesn't make you a better person than someone who eats just donuts and loses weight that way. Whole foods give you nutrients, and nutrients help your body justify removing fat while maintaining lean muscle. Does that make sense? Okay, so we've talked really from the nutrition side. We can go through some quick things about exercise. So how to lose fat and not muscle. How does exercise factor in? Okay, we're obviously going to talk about cardio and weightlifting. Okay, so cardio. Anything that you do for a prolonged period of time that gets your heart rate up is cardio, okay? Let's say here's 100 beats per minute, 80 beats per minute, 120, 140, 160, right? Maybe 180 even if you're some really good athlete, okay? The higher, this is one way of measuring intensity of cardiovascular effort, okay? The higher up you go on this chart for longer, the more chances you have of your body, not that second, but overall, harvesting your lean tissues, okay? Because if you're watching, this is like a proxy for intensity, okay? If you're keeping your heart rate at 150 for 30 to 45 minutes a day, that's not ideal for maintaining your muscle mass. Can some people do it? Yeah. I mean, someone like me who's genetically a little bit more skewed toward holding fat more easily and holding lean mass more easily, yeah, I could maybe get away with that, and I have, okay? But for most people, most of the time, this is less optimal. I'm not talking about things that you can't do. I'm talking about optimal, really not optimal, and trying to find a good enough somewhere in between. Everybody, you don't have to do weights. We're talking about how to lose weight without losing that weight from lean mass, right? I'm not your boss. Like, you don't have to do anything I say. But if you want to lose weight from fat, which is ostensibly the point, make sure you go back and watch the replay, okay, on Facebook. So, usually for most people, that 70% range, so let's say you're about 40 years old, 70% heart rate is going to be right in here somewhere, high 120s. Okay. If you're a bit older, maybe it's right here. Okay. Maybe if you're in your 60s, it's here. Okay. 70% is a useful rule of thumb. I found that when I'm at a moderate intensity, I tend not to go over my 70%. So I feel like that makes sense. Okay, so find cardio activities that don't take you too far above this 70% mark. Hey, if you break into a little bit more of a sprint for part of your workout and you go from your 70 up to like an 80% and then you go back down and average in the middle, is that going to immediately cut every muscle loose from your body. No. Okay, we're talking about prolonged exposure to high intensity cardio being the issue. Okay, and to answer any questions, if it's on your mind, can you do cardio that's too low in intensity? Would that waste muscle off your body? No. So generally speaking, if you're out walking, if you're doing the exercise bike, okay, they're the only downside of doing cardio at too low of an intensity rate. So let's say this is your resting heart rate, and this is 80 beats per minute, 100, 120. A lot of your more moderate to low intensity forms of cardio are going to be in this range, okay? Now, right here, we're just not burning that many calories, right? So to get your daily calorie burning needs, right, to increase your total daily expenditure, to increase your deficit, to increase the rate at which you're losing weight, spending all of your time in here isn't a good use of your time, because most of us don't have 4 hours a day to spend lollygagging on the exercise bike or walking, okay? You get up here, yeah, you don't have to do it as long to get that stimulus you're looking for. If you're doing it up here, that's great. You're going to be burning a lot more calories, but you would want to do this for 20, 30 minutes. And here you can maybe get away with a bit more, and here you would probably need to go longer in time to get the same calorie burn. Make sense? So this is not going to be an issue as far as muscle wasting. This is just going to be an issue of getting bang for your buck as far as the time you're spending doing your exercise. But then don't you burn more calories with higher intensity? Yes, you do. But then you also start burning muscle. Okay? So yeah, the fastest way to burn fat also happens to be the fastest way to burn muscle. Does that make sense? So when you see the YouTube videos saying burn fat fast, what they're really saying is burn body tissue fast. And if you're burning it super, super fast, your body's gonna have a much harder time really selecting 80, 90% of that from fat, which is what you want. And if you just burn tissue, right, by severe caloric restriction or crazy cardio workouts, your body's going to end up going 50-50, okay? Can you build muscle while losing weight? Does anybody want to take a stab at that? Let me just hear your thoughts, yes or no? Anybody, yes or no? Can you build muscle while losing weight? I don't see any answers. Okay, so people aren't confident. Yes, 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 good. Okay, you guys know the deal. Yes, you can. I definitely have. It's hard. Yes, it can be hard. It depends on, again, your genetic makeup, if you're healthy enough to put on muscle. Yeah, but it's not an ideal environment. Again, you can do it if you get your protein in. Like if it's really important for you to gain muscle while you're losing weight, that's why you probably wouldn't go with 1 meal a day or 2 meals a day, right? You would probably want to stretch that to at least 3, maybe 4 or even 5 meals a day would be better, right? Same amount of protein maybe, but you'd split it up into 5 different protein boluses a day. And if you really wanted to increase your chances of building muscle that much more, you would up the protein, right? You would up the egg whites, up the chicken breast, up the ground beef, right? The whole eggs. And yeah, and you'd be looking at carbs. Carbs don't have like a magic muscle building effect. Carbs can create a more anabolic environment in your body. But generally speaking, think about carbs as a way to fuel your workouts, okay? So you want to get some carbs in there so that you have energy to get into the gym and hit those muscles hard so that you stimulate muscle growth, okay? Am I a teacher by profession? Well, I am now. I've gone in and out of teaching. The last 7 years or so, I've mostly been writing. So let's talk about weightlifting. Okay, we talked about cardio. Your moderate to low intensity cardio is probably going to be the best idea. When it comes to weightlifting, here's where our intensity is going to be rewarded, okay? So intensity can be understood as energy over time. Oh, tone, no, we want time. Okay, so low intensity, right? We're going on that walk, okay? To burn 100 calories from a walk, it's low intensity, right? Because to burn 100 calories worth of energy, it takes more time. But a sprint, maybe we burn that same amount of calories in 10 minutes, okay? So a sprint is much higher in intensity because it's more energy put out over a shorter period of time. Make sense? So what this relates to in the gym, if you're lifting with any sort of effectiveness, like you're doing workouts that actually make sense and stimulate your muscles. Let's just take your legs, right? I think everybody can understand that doing squats, right? Even just body weight squats, especially if you're heavy. This is why body weight activity can be really good if you just want to work out at home because you're heavy. You literally have all your weights with you, right? So if you're doing body weight squats and you're really working those quads, maybe a little bit of hamstring, a little bit of glute activity, right? And you just do one squat, okay? And that's it. Is that enough total activity to stimulate your muscles? Maybe if you've never done a squat before in your life, maybe, okay? So we want to think about volume, total volume, right? Everyone is going to need a different amount of volume on their muscle to make it grow, right? We want to stimulate it, right? We think about stimulus as a medicine in the Oaks School of Weight Loss and Fitness, okay? Yeah, exactly. You guys are tracking. So this is like a medicine, okay? This is your little pill of weightlifting, okay? You use the minimum effective dose. How much of a calorie deficit do you put yourself into? The minimum effective dose. Do the least amount that creates the stimulus you're looking for. And then over time, your body adapts. In this case, it's going to grow muscle. That's the adaptation, right? Adaptation is partially what we're trying to strategize against, and it's partly what works for us, right? When you put in a little bit of effort, you force your body to adapt, and you give it the raw materials to make those adaptations through nutrients and protein. Next thing you know, these quads are getting bigger, even though you're in a deficit. Your body will create muscle if you're in a deficit, especially if you have plenty of energy available via fat stores, right? Now, if you're 50% body fat, are you going to put on muscle as easily as someone who is 20% body fat? Probably not, right? But what that means is as you lose weight, your ability to gain muscle is only going to increase over time, right? Hormonally, the environment your body's in. And so as you get closer and closer to your goal weight, if you're still working out with relatively increasing intensities, you're going to start putting on muscle faster and faster and faster, right? Again, the rich get richer. The healthier you get, the faster you can lose weight. The faster you lose the weight, the easier, or the more you lose the weight, the easier it gets to build muscle. Is it true the saying, no pain, no gain? Well, let me put it this way, okay? Does a 4-year-old ever hurt themselves because they're playing so hard? Yes, all the time, okay? Does a 4-year-old who chases a corgi around the park until they want to puke consider what they're doing pain? Or do they consider it play? Does it even register to their brain that they are experiencing discomfort? No. When I go into the gym, I'm usually working with more intensity than the guy over there in the squat rack who's screaming to himself. Okay? You don't get extra points for suffering. okay? We're in there to play. This is why I laugh at people, these guys, I'm one of the biggest guys in the gym. You don't see me in there with a shirt that says, "Savage, I'm here for war." And it's like, this is not a battleground. It's the gym, okay? Like, this is a sandbox. This is a big playground. Chill out, okay? You guys got to realize that the gym bros are as insecure as any 60-year-old person who's walking in there with 100 pounds to lose. Like, you're in great company. No one in there thinks that they're hot stuff. And even if they do, that's just a thin frosting of self-esteem over just as much self-doubt as anyone has, okay? I'd be fun to work out with. I don't know. I don't know. It's when you're working out, you're just focused, right? So, volume is one of our markers for stimulation. You want to, if you start with one squat, 3 days later when you squat again, how many squats are we going for? 2, right? We just want this to grow. So it's really hard for people when they first start lifting to understand what their minimum effective dose of volume is, okay? But guess what? If you just start, it's kind of like figuring out what your minimum effective dose with your calorie deficit is. If you just start small and start bumping it up until you see the results you're looking for, you're not going to go wrong. But if you try to go too hard, too fast, that's how you blow up, okay? So you literally could start with 1 body weight squat. And then the next time you're like, all right, let's see if we can get 2. And you don't have to force 2. You don't have to dig deep, brother, right? It'll be there. And if it's not, you just do 1 again. But wait, we're not here trying to win the Olympics of squatting as many times as possible. We're seeking volume. So if you only get 1 squat next time, there is no law that says you can't walk around the living room a few times and try again. Guess what? If you do 1 squat and then you do 1 squat again 2 minutes later, you have done 2 squats. Welcome to John's School of Math, okay? But here's how you game the system, right? Becoming stronger doesn't require strength. Think about that. Becoming stronger does not require strength. Everyone who has ever gained strength went in weak, they stimulated their muscles, and then their body took care of the rest, okay? Your body is what's going to sit there cranking out muscle cells, lengthening your muscle fibers, thickening your muscle fibers while you sleep. Okay? So you want to slowly increase volume. When you're just working out, remember, intensity is energy over time. If it takes you 4 hours to get your workout in, to get up to, let's say, 100 units of workout energy, right? Just a round number. And it takes you 4 hours, okay. Then you have 4 hours per 100 units of energy. Is that enough? Well, guess what? It's all relative. You need to progress. You need relative growth in intensity. So you can do 2 things. Either you can go 5 hours to get up to 120 units of muscle stimulus. This could be, last time you did 10 squats and this time you did 12 squats and it took you 5 hours. Okay. Or you could do the same amount of work over a shorter period of time. Okay. You managed the same 100 units of workout, which in this case we're calling 10 bodyweight squats, and you managed that in 3 hours. So you can manipulate your volume, or you can manipulate the time in which you accomplish the same volume. And you can grow one and then improve the other. and then improve one, and then improve the other. It's kind of like if maybe when you were younger, like before you gained weight, maybe you ran and you noticed that some days when you ran, your legs would be the things that were working really hard. And then the next day you'd run and you'd find that your legs were fine. It's your lungs that are fighting to keep up that day. And it's kind of this back and forth, right? The same thing can be true for volume and the amount of time, right? But as long as you're trying to increase volume over time and decrease the time in which you create that volume, you're going to be increasing intensity. Now, pretty soon, you would get into thinking more in terms of sets and reps. And this is how people start, developing a little bit more of it's just a better system. That's why we do sets and reps when you're working out. But you can start by dividing that up any which way you want. You can do 100 sets of 1 if that's what you want to do. That still equals volume, okay? And I'm using these as joking examples. Obviously, we don't want you doing squats for 10 hours. Do what you can do in 20 minutes. You can literally set a timer and just say, I'm going to get as many reps as possible in 20 minutes. And every time you come back, just try to get more, okay? In that 20 minutes, you can literally put on a TV show and say, I'm going to get as many bodyweight squats as I can get in the next 20 minutes. And that's your leg day, okay? And so in the first time you do it, you get 30. The next time you get 35. The next time you get 40. The next time you get 50. The next time you get 60. The next time you get 75. The next time you get 80. The next time you get 100. Okay. Then the next time you get 95. Then the next time you get 98. Then the next time you get 95 again. And you're like, wait, I can't seem to break through. Like I've made so much progress, but now I'm kind of stuck. I'm at a plateau. Okay. One way around the plateau is to allow yourself a little bit more time to create more volume. Okay. You are in charge here. You get to game this out any way you want. You have all the cheat codes. Okay. And that's how you build strength. And that's how you build muscle mass. So instead of trying to get as many squats as you could get in 20 minutes, you would give yourself as many minutes as you need to get 110 squats, right? You switch the parameter. Instead of saying, okay, I'm going to do exactly 20 minutes and see how many I can get in that 20 minutes, you switch it and say, I'm going to get 110 this time. And I'm going to see how quickly I can get there. So now 110 is your fixed variable and the time is your unfixed variable. And so you would start measuring that same 110, and then each time you try to do it faster and faster and faster. Does that make sense? Right? You could do this with push-ups, pull-ups. You can get yourself some those giant rubber workout bands. That's what I used when I couldn't do pull-ups. When quarantine started, I made it a goal to be able to do bodyweight pull-ups. And I started with using like every single band I could. And I just did that. I just cheated. I just racked up volume, forcing my body to get stronger. And now I can do pull-ups no problem. And I'm big. I'm a big boy. I'm 250 now. So you can do it. Obviously, we can talk more about lifting. I think for most people, just being able to do bodyweight squats, push-ups, start where you're at. If you can't do a bodyweight squat, grab a chair, sit down on the chair, and stand up. Man, you do that 20 times. Like if you're not in shape enough to do a bodyweight squat, and you do chair sits, and you do 20 of them, your quads are gonna be burning, right? And that's what we're looking for. You don't have to, again, we're not trying to win the Olympics of going up and down, okay? We're not competing against anyone. We're not even really competing against ourselves. We're applying stimulus to get our body to do the growing for us, right? You provide stimulus to the muscles in increasing intensity over time, what we call a progressive overload. You do it with your chest muscles and your back muscles and your leg muscles. You're going to get stronger in those muscles, provided you're giving your body the nutrients it needs and the protein. And that, my friends, is what you can do in a calorie deficit to lose fat and not muscle. All right, we did it. I think this might have been a long one, but it's all good. This was good. Thank you guys for joining. I hope this was really helpful. The replay will be in the Facebook group, which is called Lose Weight with John. There's a link in my bio. Someone last time asked me how they can help support my efforts financially. I will be offering products for sale at some point, but in the meantime, if you do want to help support my efforts, you can go to paypal.me/johnoakescoaching, and that should allow you to send me cold hard cash. I'm kind of wondering, I'm tossing around different ideas, and feel free to stick around for 5 minutes. I've asked this before, but do you guys like Patreon? Do you like that format of having that direct, like you can pay what you want and get certain, like if we had like a weekly class where every single Tuesday at 6 p.m. Pacific time, we all meet for class, and I come with a topic and we kind of just progress thematically through the weeks, and then we have like a Q&A at the end. Like, is that something where Patreon, you guys are okay with that? Yeah, and like maybe we could do, I'm not sure how to do one-on-one coaching because I don't have that much time. Wendy, look, the Facebook group is called Lose Weight with John. Go to my bio here on TikTok. There's a link to it in my bio. So we could do that. Because here's the thing, guys. Like, if I can create some kind of full-time income through this, yeah, the mental health thing is huge. In fact, in Patreon, we could split it up to have like a nuts and bolts weight loss class, and then also have I wouldn't call it mental health because I'm not technically like certified in mental health. Like I have a certified personal trainer. I'm obviously very qualified to talk about this because I have a ton of experience. Like literally mental health professionals learn from me on how to deal with certain things. So it's, I have a sort of earned expertise, but I don't have a degree in it. And sort of because it's in that semi-medical field, I don't want to claim that I'm anything that I'm not. But we could call it like, mental game or something. We could figure it out. But yeah, we could have like a set. Just starting out, shoot for like 10%. So if you're at 3,000 calories, you can do 300 and start some activity as well. Or you could do like 500. Yeah, motivation, all that mental stuff, that is like, as much as I can talk all day about the nuts and bolts and the physiology of weight loss, the mental game is actually where I have things to offer that no one else I've ever seen talks about. So you can find quality information out there, right? At this level. It's hard. It's a needle in a haystack, but I've never found anybody who talks about the things I do when it comes to the mental and emotional side of creating massive weight loss. And guess what? Yeah, Weight Watchers. Yeah, I'm not going to make you count points. Eat what you want, and yes, give me money. You eat donuts. Everyone's happy. No, I'm just kidding. What was I just about to say? Yeah, well, ocean analogy knocked your socks off. Oh, yeah. Yeah, so when it comes to motivation and staying, I remember what I was going to say. So if you lose weight my way, it's going to be hard for some people because we're going to talk about stuff that may feel like, well, I'm trying to lose weight. Why are you trying to talk to me about all this hippie, inner stuff? I'm like, well, there's a reason you gained weight, right? You were not born severely overweight. This happened at some point. And if it's something you've been dealing with all your life, whatever really caused you to go off the tracks and go into what we could call an unhealthy direction probably happened in your younger years, right? At least it set the groundwork for maybe something that exploded later in your life. And it's not all about, embracing your inner child, except some of it is. But if you are able to lose 150, 200 pounds easily, how is that going to transform your relationship to money? how is it going to transform your relationships with people, your romantic prospects, if you'd like to settle down with someone and build a life, if you want to rekindle what you already have, if you want to rebuild something that maybe your less, not so redeemed aspects of your persona have caused damage to. These are all going to, if you kind of stick with me, like, I'm not trying to like make your life better in every single way, except I totally am. It's just the cold hard truth is that if you get out of your own way with weight loss, you will start to do it with everything in your life. It would change your whole life. And thank you. I appreciate it, guys. You know, I'm glad you guys can see that I'm not trying to overpromise. Like, I'm literally, like, I don't have anything to sell at this point. I would like to do this as my full-time job. I mean, I already could. I'm literally turning down people begging me for coaching. I just don't want to do one-on-one coaching because I can only help like 10, 20 people at a time. And I get dozens of requests a day for help. And so I want to find ways to help the most amount of people. Change my money relationship because I can fit Gucci. I need no one else though. I don't know what that means. My problem is that my parents own a mom and pop fast food joint. Oh, well, just never talk to your parents ever again. There, problem solved. How much water is necessary for weight loss? You know, just drink enough so that your urine is like a light yellow. It's nothing crazy. There's no magic. In fact, if you start pounding water all day, every day, you can actually dilute your electrolytes. And I'm telling you, a lot of people who have, like, they think they have a hormonal issue. Again, going back to the hormonal issues, right? Because something feels off kilter and we're like, it's my hormones. Ugh, right in the hormones. If you have, through dilution, because you drink too much water or too much diet soda or too much Crystal Light, you dilute your salts, your magnesium, some of your calcium, your potassium, your sodium, right? And you pee it all out. You are going to feel like death. You are going to feel awful. You're going to feel super hungry because your body's trying to replenish some of your vital minerals, right? Yeah, and Bagheads 550, like, that's what I'm talking about, doing something like the Patreon where people can put a little bit of skin in the game, help support me while I do this. And then we can do something where people have like, I don't want to just have like a community, because what I don't like about the Facebook group right now is it's kind of negative, which I understand because people are bummed out about how hopeless they feel about their health issues. 100% understand. I would have been the same. But the Facebook group is a bit of a downer because I just don't have enough. Kitty, get away. Stop it. This is not your scratching post. Because I just don't have enough people like up and running and kicking ass and like losing weight and seeing it work and feeling great about themselves in the process, like letting their weight loss be a reflection of their improved relationship with themselves. I think when we start to see that more in the Facebook group, that's really gonna like change the whole energy there. And I'm really excited for that to happen. But I think actually the way to do that, like talking to the Facebook group is growing by about 100 people a day. I mean, it's ridiculous. So, I mean, I don't know if I'll be able to compete, but if I can get some people who are really invested in this, who really want to take this seriously and learn this and start changing their life, and just start losing weight, right? Because you can get started without mastering everything that I have to teach you, right? You can lose 20, 40, 50 pounds just by reducing your caloric intake. Maybe your nutrient stuff isn't the best. Maybe you're not getting the best amount of protein. If you just get started, we'll get you there eventually. Like if you lose a little bit of lean mass, like if your guns aren't as, if you're not as buff, but you're losing weight, like listen, we can deal with some fluctuations. So, all right. Family's getting home. It's probably time to cut it loose. Thanks for sticking around and offering me your perspectives on how we should keep going about this, because you guys are awesome. You deserve success. You definitely deserve to improve your relationship with yourselves. You've lived too long this way, and it's really not your fault. And we're just going to start to pick it apart. Pick like that knot, just start to pull at those strands, and eventually they're going to come apart, and I'm going to help guide you through that. Mian, am I pronouncing that right? Mian, 1955. Do a food journal and figure out exactly what you're eating on a day-to-day basis to keep your weight where it is. That's your maintenance, and then you would reduce a bit from there. If you're a guy and you're, bigger guy, you can start with 500 calories, and then after a couple weeks, if you haven't lost any weight, you could reduce it a bit more or up your activity. Okay, guys, I'm gonna make my kids dinner, and I will see you next time. Thank you so much.